have here? 8 glazed buttermilk. Yeah, we definitely gonna do the glaze. Let's put those down here. Yeah, let's get to it. Papoose, you're on the menu. Let's go.
Curtis Jack, that's what came to mind soon as I heard the track. Ugly ass G-Unit sneakers, had the shirt to match.
Okay, hold up, Pap. We know you can rap, but let's be fair. You're not the style icon to be talking about ugly G-Unit sneakers because you had the t-shirt with the nines, the Gingo Green. This was the worst. This was the worst fashion brand ever, nigga. Let's not talk fashion. Okay, play the rest.
Mad cause Diddy hit your chick. You a jerk for that.
You abandoned. You abandoned my child for months. I'm sorry, for days at a time. Knowing she had to go to school the next day. Knowing I had to go to work the next day. So she want to get up for you and say, oh, you don't have a job. Knowing my daughter had to go to school, you stayed out with the lane. You stayed out with the lane.
What happens when one of hip-hop's most famous trolls decides to respond to a diss? With nothing more than a few words and a laughing emoji? That's exactly what just happened between 50 Cent and Papoose, and somehow the situation dragged in T.I. and even Eminem. It all started when a diss record dropped that flipped the beat from the legendary track Many Men, Wish Death, one of the most iconic songs from Get Rich or Die Tryin'. The moment fans heard that beat, they knew something serious was about to happen. But instead of a traditional rap battle, the internet got something completely different. Old interviews started resurfacing, social media timelines exploded, fans started debating who really started the drama in the first place. And somehow, a situation that was supposed to be about music turned into a massive online argument involving past rivalries, old relationships, and years of unresolved tension. Some people say this is another classic example of 50 Cent playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Others believe the criticism coming from Papoose and T.I. might finally force him to respond in a bigger way. But the real question is this: did Papoose just start a rap battle he can't win? Or did he accidentally give 50 Cent exactly the attention he wanted? The moment the new diss track started circulating online, hip-hop fans immediately realized that this situation wasn't just another random rap argument. The moment the beat dropped, listeners recognized it instantly. It was the instrumental inspired by Many Men, Wish Death, one of the most legendary records from 50 Cent and his classic album Get Rich or Die Tryin'. And in hip-hop culture, choosing that beat sends a message. It means you're not just criticizing someone, you're declaring war. The rapper behind the diss was Papoose, a respected lyricist known for complex wordplay and heavy punchlines. For years, fans have considered Papoose one of the strongest technical rappers in New York. So when his name suddenly became connected to a diss aimed at 50 Cent, the internet instantly paid attention. But the diss track wasn't only about 50. As the lyrics continued, Papoose started bringing up multiple subjects connected to 50's past. He referenced old rumors, past relationships, and even questioned parts of 50 Cent's career. At one point, he even mentioned Sean Combs, throwing in a line that hinted at drama connected to 50's former relationship from years ago. That alone was enough to get people talking. But then something else happened that made the entire situation explode across social media. Papoose mentioned Eminem. Now in hip-hop, bringing Eminem into a rap beef is never a small move. Eminem is not only one of the biggest artists in the history of rap, but he also has a long-standing loyalty to 50 Cent. Their connection goes back more than 2 decades. In fact, it was Eminem and Dr. Dre who helped introduce 50 Cent to the mainstream world. Back in the early 2000s, when 50 Cent was still trying to break into the industry, Eminem heard his music and immediately believed in his potential. That moment eventually led to 50 signing with Shady Records and Aftermath Entertainment. The result of that partnership was the release of Get Rich or Die Tryin', an album that would completely change hip-hop. The project produced multiple hit records and turned 50 Cent into a global superstar almost overnight. Songs like Many Men became part of rap history, and the album itself went on to sell millions of copies around the world. So when Papoose referenced Eminem in his diss, some listeners were confused. The reason was simple. The idea that Eminem helped launch 50 Cent's career is not a secret. It's something 50 himself has openly talked about in interviews for years. Because of that, many fans online started asking the same question. How exactly is that supposed to be a diss? Within hours of the track circulating online, people on social media began debating the lyrics. Some fans praised Papoose for stepping up and challenging one of the biggest figures in rap. Others felt the song didn't land as hard as it was supposed to. But while the internet was busy arguing about the diss itself, something else was happening in the background. Old clips started resurfacing. These clips involved another major name in the story, T.I. For several years now, T.I. has publicly mentioned wanting a battle against 50 Cent. During the peak of the online music battles hosted by Papoose, T.I. repeatedly suggested that he and 50 should face off. Papoose became extremely popular during the pandemic when fans were stuck at home and artists began competing by playing their biggest hits live online. These battles often attracted millions of viewers and created huge cultural moments. Naturally, fans started imagining what a Papoose battle between T.I. and 50 Cent would look like. Both artists have long careers and multiple hit records. On paper, it sounded like a huge event waiting to happen. But there was one problem. 50 Cent never seemed interested. In several interviews and social media posts, he dismissed the idea and suggested that T.I. didn't have the type of catalog needed for a battle against him. That response didn't sit well with many people, especially fans from the southern hip-hop scene who felt T.I.'s legacy deserved more respect. Over time, the conversation slowly faded away. The Papoose moment never happened, and both artists appeared to move on with their careers. But according to many people online, the tension never completely disappeared. Now that Papoose had dropped a diss aimed at 50 Cent, fans started revisiting the old history between T.I. and 50. That's when those old interviews began spreading again across social media platforms. In several of the clips, T.I. can clearly be seen talking about the idea of battling 50. He mentions it in podcasts, interviews, and even casual conversations with other artists. And this is where the situation started to become messy. Because in more recent interviews, T.I. has suggested that he never really started the conflict in the first place. Instead, he described the situation as if the tension came from 50's reactions rather than his own comments. That explanation didn't sit well with many fans. People online quickly pointed out that the internet never forgets. When old videos exist showing someone repeatedly calling for a battle, it becomes very difficult to later claim that the conflict came out of nowhere. As those clips spread, the debate became louder. Some fans argued that T.I. was simply responding to questions about Papoose and never intended to create drama. Others believed he had been pushing the idea for years and was now trying to distance himself from the situation. Meanwhile, another voice joined the conversation, and that voice belonged to 50 Cent. When 50 Cent finally responded to everything happening online, his message was surprisingly short. Instead of releasing a long explanation or recording a response track, he did what he has done many times before. He made a quick post. In that post, 50 basically brushed off the entire situation, saying he had no interest in responding to rappers who couldn't write hit records. He ended the message with a laughing emoji and moved on. For longtime fans of 50 Cent, that reaction felt very familiar. Throughout his career, 50 has often handled conflicts in exactly this way. Instead of giving opponents the full rap battle they might want, he sometimes chooses a different strategy, a short joke, a quick insult, and then silence. And strangely enough, that approach often creates even more attention than a full response would. Within minutes of his post appearing online, thousands of people began sharing screenshots of it. Comment sections filled up with arguments about whether 50 was winning the situation or avoiding a real battle. Some fans said the short response proved he wasn't taking the diss seriously. Others believed it showed confidence, suggesting that he didn't feel threatened by the track at all. But regardless of which side people supported, one thing was clear. The conversation had officially exploded. And the more people talked about it, the bigger the situation became. As the debate continued to grow online, something interesting started happening. The focus slowly shifted away from the diss track itself and moved toward a much bigger question. Why does almost every rapper who challenges 50 Cent end up creating more attention for him instead of damaging his reputation? To understand that, you have to look at how 50 Cent has handled conflict throughout his entire career. From the early days of his rise in hip-hop, controversy has always followed him. In fact, some of the biggest moments in his career came during heated rivalries with other artists. One of the most famous examples was his long-running battle with Ja Rule, a feud that dominated hip-hop headlines in the early 2000s. At the time, both artists were huge names in the industry, but the way 50 approached the rivalry was different from most rappers. Instead of limiting the fight to music, he turned the conflict into a full-scale media moment. Interviews, jokes, memes, and public comments kept the drama alive long after diss tracks stopped dropping. Over time, the strategy worked in his favor, and many fans believed 50 ultimately controlled the narrative. That same approach seems to be happening again right now. When Papoose released his diss, the expectation from many listeners was that 50 Cent would respond with another record. After all, hip-hop history is filled with legendary back-and-forth battles. But instead of giving people that type of response, 50 stuck to what he does best: social media. Within hours, his short message started spreading everywhere. Screenshots of the post appeared on music blogs, entertainment pages, and fan accounts across the internet. And once the post started trending, the discussion moved beyond just the diss track. People began comparing the careers of the artists involved. Supporters of 50 Cent quickly started pointing out his long list of accomplishments. They reminded everyone that he wasn't just a rapper with a few successful songs. His debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', is widely considered one of the most important hip-hop releases of the 2000s. The project produced multiple hit records and sold millions of copies worldwide. Songs from that album, including Many Men, Wish Death, became cultural staples that are still played today. For many fans, that level of impact is difficult for most artists to match. But the conversation didn't stop there. Even though 50 Cent hasn't released studio albums as frequently in recent years, fans began pointing out that he still appears on major records. One example people brought up was Remember the Name, where he collaborated with Eminem and Ed Sheeran. Another track mentioned in discussions was The Woo, which introduced him to a younger generation of listeners. Those examples added another layer to the debate. Some people argued that even if 50 isn't releasing albums every year, his influence in music and entertainment is still extremely strong. And that influence isn't limited to music anymore. Over the past several years, 50 Cent has built a massive presence in television and film. His involvement in the hit series Power helped turn the show into one of the most successful crime dramas on cable television. The series later expanded into multiple spin-offs, further strengthening his role as a producer and entertainment executive. Because of that success, some fans believe 50 Cent simply doesn't need rap battles the same way other artists might. While the internet was busy debating all of this, critics of 50 Cent started pushing back. Some of them argued that Papoose deserves respect for stepping up and speaking his mind. They pointed out that Papoose has always been known for his lyrical ability, even if his commercial success hasn't matched his reputation among hardcore hip-hop fans. Others said that diss tracks are part of the culture and that challenging established figures is nothing new in rap. From their perspective, artists like Papoose are simply continuing a tradition that has existed for decades. But another topic soon entered the conversation, and it made things even more complicated. That topic involved T.I. As the diss track continued circulating online, people started noticing that T.I.'s name kept appearing in discussions. That's because his earlier comments about wanting a battle with 50 Cent were being replayed all over social media again. In those older clips, T.I. seemed enthusiastic about the idea of facing 50 in a musical showdown. He spoke about bringing the energy of the Southern hip-hop scene and showing that his catalog could compete with anyone's. But in more recent interviews, his tone sounded different. Instead of pushing for a battle, T.I. suggested that the tension surrounding the situation had been exaggerated. This change in tone led to even more debates online. Some fans accused him of backtracking, arguing that the earlier clips clearly showed him challenging 50 Cent in the past. Others defended him, saying that the media and internet commentators might be twisting his words to create drama. The more people argued, the bigger the story became. Soon, another element of hip-hop culture entered the discussion: numbers. Fans began comparing streaming totals, album sales, and chart performance between the artists involved. Supporters of 50 Cent highlighted the massive commercial success of his early career. They pointed out that Get Rich or Die Tryin' remains one of the best-selling rap albums of its era. Meanwhile, supporters of Papoose focused on lyrical skill rather than commercial success. They argued that hip-hop isn't only about chart numbers. From their perspective, technical ability and wordplay deserve just as much respect as mainstream popularity. As the debate moved deeper into statistics and legacy comparisons, one thing became clear. This situation was no longer just about one diss track. It had turned into a full conversation about hip-hop history, influence, and reputation. People from different generations of rap fans were weighing in, each bringing their own perspective on the artists involved. But while everyone else was arguing, 50 Cent remained relatively quiet. And for many longtime observers of hip-hop, that silence looked very intentional. Because sometimes the most powerful move in a rap feud isn't a diss track at all. Sometimes it's simply letting everyone else keep talking. While the internet continued arguing over lyrics, numbers, and old interviews, another pattern started to become obvious to longtime hip-hop fans. Situations like this have happened around 50 Cent many times before. The names involved might change, but the outcome usually looks very similar. Someone throws a diss, the internet explodes with reactions, and somehow 50 Cent ends up gaining even more attention without doing very much at all. That pattern is exactly what people began pointing out again after Papoose released his track. At first, the conversation was focused entirely on the song. Fans were breaking down lyrics, arguing about punchlines, and debating whether the diss actually landed. But once 50 Cent responded with a short message and a laugh, the discussion changed direction. Instead of analyzing bars, people started analyzing strategy. For years, 50 Cent has been known as one of the smartest marketers in hip-hop. Even before social media became a huge part of music culture, he understood how controversy could create attention. And attention in the entertainment world often turns into power. Back when he first became famous, he used that strategy during his rivalry with Ja Rule. That feud turned into one of the most talked about conflicts in rap history. Interviews, diss songs, public appearances, and constant commentary kept the rivalry alive for years. By the time the situation finally cooled down, many fans felt that 50 had completely dominated the public conversation. Because of that history, when situations like this appear today, people immediately start wondering whether they're seeing the same strategy play out again. And the timing of this particular situation made things even more interesting. In recent years, 50 Cent has shifted much of his focus away from releasing albums and toward building an entertainment empire. One of the biggest examples of that success is the television universe connected to Power. The show became a huge hit and eventually expanded into multiple spin-off series. That success helped transform 50 from a rapper into a powerful television producer and businessman. Because of that transition, some fans believe rap battles simply aren't a priority for him anymore. From that perspective, responding with a full diss track might not make sense for his current position. A short post online can generate just as much attention without requiring the same level of effort. Meanwhile, the people involved in the situation continued dealing with the internet's reaction. For Papoose, the response was mixed. Some listeners respected the boldness of going after a major figure in hip-hop. They argued that diss tracks are part of the competitive spirit that built the culture in the first place. But other listeners felt the track didn't deliver the knockout moment that many expected. Some critics said the diss relied on topics that had already been mentioned in past arguments involving 50 Cent. When similar jokes and references appear again and again in different diss tracks, fans sometimes feel like they're hearing the same conversation repeated in different forms. Another major topic that continued resurfacing involved Eminem. As soon as his name appeared in the diss, fans started asking whether he might eventually respond. That question comes up almost any time someone connected to 50 Cent enters a rap conflict. The reason is simple. The relationship between Eminem and 50 Cent goes back more than 2 decades, and it's widely known as one of the most loyal partnerships in hip-hop history. When Eminem first discovered 50's music, he immediately believed the rapper had superstar potential. That belief helped lead to 50 signing with Shady Records and Aftermath Entertainment, a moment that completely changed the trajectory of his career. Since then, the two artists have collaborated on multiple songs and supported each other publicly many times. Because of that history, fans always wonder whether a situation involving 50 might eventually pull Eminem into the conversation. At the same time, another name continued appearing in discussions: T.I. As people revisited older interviews, many realized that the conversation about a possible musical battle between T.I. and 50 Cent had been circulating for years. During the height of online music battles hosted by Verzuz, T.I. openly mentioned wanting to face 50 in a matchup of hit records. For fans of Southern hip-hop, the idea sounded exciting. T.I. has a long list of successful songs and played an important role in bringing Southern rap to mainstream audiences. A battle between those two artists could have been a massive cultural event, but the matchup never happened. Now that the old clips were spreading again, people started debating who actually started the tension in the first place. Some believed T.I. had simply been enthusiastic about the idea of a battle. Others felt the repeated comments looked like a direct challenge. And because the internet never forgets, those conversations quickly turned into another layer of the overall drama. By this point, the situation had become much bigger than a single diss track. It was now a full-scale discussion about legacy, influence, and the different ways artists build power in the entertainment industry. Some fans focused on lyrical skill, others focused on commercial success, and many simply watched the entire situation unfold as another unpredictable chapter in hip-hop culture. But through all the debates, arguments, and viral posts, one detail remains surprisingly consistent. 50 Cent never seemed rushed or pressured to respond in a major way. Instead, he appeared comfortable letting the internet continue talking. And in the world of entertainment, sometimes that might be the smartest move of all. Because when millions of people are already discussing your name, the only thing you really have to do is sit back and watch the conversation grow. So now the real question is, where does this situation go from here? Will Papoose double down and release another response? Could 50 Cent eventually decide to step back into the booth and answer with a record of his own? And what happens if the conversation pulls in even bigger names like Eminem or T.I. again? Hip-hop history has shown that situations like this can change very quickly. One diss track can lead to another, a few social media posts can turn into a full rap battle, and before you know it, the entire culture is watching. But now we want to hear from you. Do you think Papoose actually landed a strong diss? Or did 50 Cent handle the situation perfectly with that short response? And if this ever turned into a real rap battle, who do you think would come out on top? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because the hip-hop community always has something to say about moments like this. And if you enjoy deep breakdowns of rap drama, music history, and the biggest stories happening in hip-hop right now, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. Because in hip-hop, the next chapter of the story can drop at any moment.